Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and I am broadcasting live from SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey, which is actually not beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey today. It's actually ugly, overcast. Oh, and that's my guest. I'm actually running a little bit late today, and that was my guest that just entered the room. And I will be with you, True, in 2 seconds. I promise. I'm doing the intro. and welcome. It's actually dreary and ugly, but it's a beautiful day because it was this teacher's last day of teaching, hopefully ever, teaching public school. BZ is in the Facey chat. I want to welcome everybody in the Facey chat who says it's only 2 p.m. because he's on California time. Welcome, Ron Edwards. Got a brand new Ron Edwards notebook. Very excited to see Mr. Greg Wilson and June Seed. I know I have been MIA for a minute, gang. Things have been very busy in the Business Diva's life. Chuck Manahan, hello. Welcome. Patricia, hi. My guest today, very excited to have him. His name is True Tamplin. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. We ran a little bit late and I didn't get a chance to confirm that. But I'm going to talk to him about raising an executive, igniting, can I speak today? Igniting your son's inner executive to outperform his peers and continue your legacy. I knew there are some folks up in the Facey chat that'll be glad that I'm having a pro man guest on today. Oh my gosh, Ron Edwards said, where in the world have I been? Ron, dude.
Hey, Melanie, can you hear me?
I can hear you, True. I'm going to introduce you in a minute. I always just tell the guests like who I'm having on.
Awesome.
Yep.
So make sure.
Yep, all good. That was True. You guys are going to he's great. I can't wait to talk to him. I know I've been away. There's lots of changes going on. And normally I would telegraph that stuff, but people have told me don't telegraph your moves on Facebook because, you know, everybody on Facebook's not your friend and don't do that. So like I've been uncharacteristically silent about the things that I'm working on. And I know it has not been good, but I promise I will tell you guys soon. About the stuff that I'm working on. And my show schedule is going to change. I just don't know how yet. Like, I honestly don't know how it's going to change yet. Next week, I believe I am doing a show every day with the exception of Thursday, is how it looks now. Ron Edwards said a pro man show. I'll believe it when I hear it. Well, you're going to hear it today. The title is Igniting Your Son's Inner Executive to Outperform His Peers and Continue Your Legacy. It's a pro man show, baby. I am pro man, believe it or not. Just like, not like a man, like, you know, in my house and in my life getting on my nerves. I'm kidding. That was for you, Ron. Sorry. That was all for you, sugar. Anyway, I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of laughs today. Anyhow, what's in the business? I have four minutes to talk about all that's going on in the business news today. I'm not, listen. I'm not really feeling. BZ's pro woman. We know that the BZF is pro woman. I don't know what's up with the Supreme Court these days, but I don't appreciate them messing with my Amazon. Like, I have a big kind of problem with that. I mean, forget all the other online stores. If they could have just like exempted Amazon from the whole tax thing, that would have been lovely, but they did not. So that's kind of like one of the biggest things that happened in business news this week is that now states are going to be like every state's going to be able to collect taxes on your online purchases. It used to be only if a store had a brick and mortar presence in your state, then they were required to collect state income taxes on your purchases. Now it is all online purchases, which now I'm not. Ron Edwards in the chat says he's very pro non-feminist. Really, Ron? Whatever. I'm not a feminist, Ron. Not at all. You're aware of this. I'm just pro men not getting on my nerves. But yeah, so that happened. So our Amazon, the bottom line is our Amazon purchases are going to cost a lot more, which does not make me happy. One of my friends on social media posted a picture of her Amazon Prime purchases and was talking about how, you know, it's a little bit of an addiction. And if you could see to the left of me in my studio, you would see a bunch of Prime purchases of my own that I haven't even opened yet, because I don't really need to know what's in them until I'm looking for a particular item and I know it's in one of my handy dandy Amazon purchases. Because I'm addicted like that. It's just how it is. Now, another important thing that's happening is that apparently the EU is playing big and tough with tariffs, and they just announced $3.2 billion of tariffs on a number of U.S. goods. This is, of course, well, it's levies. They're, you know, this is in retaliation for the tariffs that were imposed by the Trump administration on steel and aluminum. So, you know, people are saying, the experts are saying that, you know, that this is going to be the beginning of a trade war. It's going to affect things like boats, bourbon, cranberries, motorcycles, and orange juice. So selfishly, as far as I'm concerned, I'm in a clear. I don't have any concerns about any of those things. You start putting tariffs on wine, I might have a problem. But other than that, Ron Edwards in the chat said, if you didn't get on my nerves, you wouldn't be as much fun. Well, that is true, Ron. That's true. John Burnett, hello. Daniel Johnson, hello. In the Facey chat, Mike, how are you? So the tariff wars begin. Speaking of tariff wars, not that this is a fair transition at all, but my next article for the Horn News will be about the tariff wars and how we're going to win it. My current article in the Horn News, which I posted on my social media here recently, is about the top 5 liberal meltdowns so far this year. That was just kind of a fun article, but my next one that I'm working on right now, it's in the hopper, is about how we can win the tariff war a little more serious, or a little more work. And I hope to have that out by Monday. My editor actually didn't give me a deadline for that, so hopefully one day next week I'll have that out. That's thehornnews.com. You can check out my work there, or it's that last article is posted on any of my social media. You can see my awesome. I don't know. I don't think my writing is great for that. Listen, they like it. My editor's happy with it. When you're an academic writer, it's weird to write blog type writing, and I'm a nerd, so it's just weird for me. But whatever. So that's the next article. It's going to be on the tariff wars. Anywho. All right. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is True Tamplin. Very excited to have him on the show. We're going to talk to him about raising an executive, igniting your son's inner executive to outperform his peers and continue your legacy. Really interesting backstory behind this. So I'm excited to have him on. I'm excited to have him on today. We have a brand new Ron Edwards notebook coming your way. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Congress shall make no law restricting our freedom of or from religion. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, apparently city leaders in Laurel, Maryland ignored the Bill of Rights. The owners of the recently opened Ragamuffins Coffee House had planned to offer great coffee and muffins 6 days per week, holding worship services at the shop on Sundays. Once Ragamuffins was up and running, Laurel, Maryland city officials suddenly told the owners of the coffee shop to stop conducting Sunday worship or be prepared to face a $250 fine for each time they worshiped God in their shop. The small congregation of no more than 20 said that such a fine was too steep for their small gathering. The church filed a discrimination case against the city after relocating there in hopes of reaching the underprivileged, the homeless, and those not prone to attend traditional church settings. Reverend Jeremy Chuistra told the Baltimore Sun that non-Christian groups in the area are not persecuted for operating as they see fit. Well, hopefully this obvious wrong will soon be resolved in this, the land of the free. I'm Ron Edwards. Join me Fridays on AmericaMatters.us and SHRmedia.com at 4 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest today is True Tamplin. He wrote the book called Raising an Executive, Igniting Your Son's Inner Executive to Outperform His Peers and Continue Your Legacy. And without further ado, True Tamplin, how are you?
Hey, Melanie, I'm doing excellent. Not a problem. My name is True Tamplin. I think the letter K was right next to that letter L on the keyboard, and probably got shot over to you wrong. But I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And listen, I don't know if your publicist told you that I'm a teacher, and listen. I'm looking at your picture, and I'm like, oh my God, he's a baby. He's only 22, folks. He's like this mega entrepreneur and CEO coach. And wait till you guys hear his story. He's fantastic.
That's fantastic. Let me ask you real quick, what age were you teaching, Melanie?
I teach high school, and I'm also an adjunct professor. So I'm looking at you like you're like one of my kids.
I'm right there. That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah, no, I'm going to actually go into that a little bit today because my age, truth be told, started really hindering me. Until I flipped that on its head and made it my unique angle, my strength. But let me just go right into my story because I think users will find it hilarious.
It is.
I know
it's great.
My own story amuses me sometimes when I actually sit down and think about it. So the years 2000, 2007, 2008, we all know what happened then. Everyone needed money, and I was actually 13 years old at the time. Again, still a baby. and my dad, he was placing a lot of music in film and television at the time. And I don't know if you remember, the writer's strike happened, and I live here in LA. Can you see my image, by the way, my video?
Oh no! I wasn't looking. I was just there you are. I wasn't looking. I was just listening to the audio.
I live here in LA. I don't know if you can see the big buildings behind me. Let me move out of the way.
Yes.
Live here in LA. I grew up in Orange County actually, but so my dad was placing these songs in film and TV, and the big writer's strike happened down here in 07, 08 during that time too. They wanted more money. The Writers Guild did, and so they stopped producing movies. And so you can imagine if your profession is putting music in film and TV, and no new movies are being produced, well, you're out of luck, dude. Like you got no work. So. My dad and my whole family really needed money. And so he had hit rock bottom. Anyways, he actually got the biggest opportunity of his lifetime, I would say, in terms of like true stardom.
Yes.
He was a professional musician all of his life, and he was offered to become the lead singer for Journey, the band Journey, if you know Journey.
I graduated in 1988. I know.
There you go, baby.
Yes,
That's awesome.
Journey.
That's awesome. So yeah, so Steve Perry had enough, and he quit, and they were looking for a new guy. My dad got the call. And so again, finances are tight. We're out of luck. It's 07, 08, and as a musician, you can imagine being an artist. This was everything he had ever dreamed of was this. And so between that and needing the money and not being able to support his family, like he really wanted this gig, as you can imagine. But he's a praying man, and he asked the Lord, like, should I take the gig? Because there was one catch, which was I was 13, my sister was 15 at the time, and it was a 5-year touring contract where I would have been without a dad for 5 years. And I truly would have been, the stereotypical son of a rock star. And he really felt like the Lord told him, don't do it. I have better plans for you and your kids. Don't do it. And so he turned it down. And I grew up instead over the next 5 years with a mom and a dad. Don't get me wrong. My mom was an incredible mother. So it really does take two. But my dad more kind of epically turned down this once-in-a-lifetime gig in order to raise me and to raise my sister. And I share that because my story, I'll just brag about myself for 2 seconds. It'll serve a purpose. Like you said, I am a successful entrepreneur. Fresh out of graduating, I started my own, it's called Up Digital. It's an SEO and analytics company. I graduated 4.0 summa cum laude. I gave graduation speech for high school. I got a full ride soccer scholarship. I mean, just everything that their parents want their kids to do. Like I checked those boxes, and like since then I've written a best-selling book, like you mentioned, Raising an Executive, and I turned it into a mentorship program where we have some killer speakers just coming in and pointing to these guys. I had some guys looking for mentorship, and so I figured, hey, what's the next step out of this book? What's the natural development? It would be a mentorship program. So let's do that. And since then, it's taken me to all these public speaking gigs, and then here I am on your show, Melanie, all by the age of 22. And I say all that because I am 1,000% convinced that none of this would have happened had my dad taken the journey gig. And that's chapter 1 of my book, Sacrificing Your Journey. And my plea is from the perspective of the son. All the other books out there and anyone speaking on this issue it's always busy dads telling other busy dads how they did it. But it's never the plea from the son's angle saying, Daddy, spend more time with me. And I tell executives, hey, if you want your son to turn out like I did or anything similar, you need to, chapter 1 of my book, sacrifice your journey. This is the check that costs. And anyways, I'll let you talk for just a second, but that's in essence my story and the story behind my dad turning down that gig.
I love it. I love it. And listen, make no mistake. Listen, by pointing out that your dad making that decision was pivotal in your life, in no way demeans your mom's role. Your dad is the leader of that house, and him making that decision was absolutely pivotal. And so, listen. I know that the need to make sure that you say that in this day and age is important, but
yeah, no, 100%. But the woman is the neck, and she can turn the head whichever way she wants it. So,
right.
No. Truth be told, my mom, let's just take soccer as an example. There was a quote that would go around in our household: "Oh, the things we do for soccer." And we moved to Argentina. We moved to Italy. They let me play a few months in Brazil. They were putting me on the best clubs. And truth be told, my mom split driving time with my dad 50-50. So this is, his story is sexier because everyone knows journey. But I had an incredibly supportive mom that I would not be the man that I am today without that figure in my life.
I love it. Lead singer, that is amazing. I mean, particularly since I didn't think that the first guy that they got as the replacement for Steve Perry was all that awesome. I'm going to be honest here. So,
yeah,
so it could have been your dad. When they first replaced Steve Perry, I was like, really? This is what you got? And this is all because of you?
If you, Melanie, and your viewers, if you want to YouTube Ken Tamplin after the show, Kentamplin, you will laugh. This man he's insane in his vocal range. My favorite, if you're looking it up, would be Ken Tamplin "Dream On" by Aerosmith. It's better than the original. I get chills, and he's my dad, but wow, he's fantastic. He has almost 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, and which leads me to say, by the way, to tie up his story. So, this is the Lord telling him, hey, don't do this. I have better plans for you. Shortly thereafter, not taking the journey gig, he actually shot a video in my living room where he just hits this crazy high note and then brings it way back down and says, hey, my name is Ken Tamplin. If you want to come and learn how to sing like me, I'll show you how to do it. And that video, Melanie, outperformed any video since up until recently. And that was and it was on Jimmy Fallon and Tosh.0 and all these TV shows. That was the jumpstart to his business, which he now runs today. So had he taken the journey gig, he would have gotten fame and financial success at the cost of me, my sister, my family. But instead, rear view Christianity, I like to call it, looking back in hindsight, because he was faithful, he got both the money and some fame, and raising a successful family.
That is an amazing story. That really is. I have to read you a couple. I'm streaming live on Facebook, and I just wanted to read you a couple of the comments. Somebody said, Katina said, I want to find a comment where she said, she said, I think she said a praying man in LA. That's a story in itself.
Yes.
Oh,
Literally.
and my good
And
friend,
he's got long hair and looks like a druggie to boot. So.
and my good friend Mike Fitzpatrick, who is also a praying man, who lives in California. I'm not sure how close he lives to LA, but also a praying man. He's my cybersecurity expert. Says he did the same with his son, which I do absolutely believe. Tom Bosta's in the house. I did not know that. Daryl Kincaid, hello. Mike Patterson, how are you? But that is incredible. That is an amazing, amazing story. So that's the background behind because your dad would have been on the road all the time and would not have had you in the house, would not have been in the house to lead, which, you know, kids need, but sons especially need.
Mm-hmm. So
in what way do you think, specifically, do you think having your dad home helped you? I mean, we especially us people who are Christians understand that in principle, but what specific ways?
Yeah, absolutely. So specifically, you cannot go big or do much until you have a foundation to work off of. And so what having my dad home did, instead of on tour, was it laid down that foundation. Aside from Christ, I'm a believer myself. Aside from Christ, that gave me a sense of purpose, identity, security. I would still be figuring out those things at age 22. And like most of my peers are currently, they're all trying to find themselves, figure out their sexuality, going on hiking trips all throughout Europe, just trying to figure out themselves and like what they are, who they are, what they want. And what that did was it gave me that. It gave me that as a platform, as a foundation. And only once you have that, then can you go off and start writing books and do the public speaking and run businesses. Because like without that, Melanie, I would still be, I'm 22, I'd still be questioning all of these things. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. So, I certainly do.
So that's what it gave me. And the Lord has blessed me in some other tremendous ways, but without my parents doing a good job, I'll truth be told, I wouldn't have been able to go and be fully me. So
that's incredible. So when you got out of, what school did you go to, by the way?
I graduated from Biola University, Biola.
Okay, excellent. And your degree?
Yeah, so that's another backstory. It's technically in business analytics. It wasn't a degree until I got there.
I was gonna say, okay.
Yeah, let me share that one really quick. So again, now you guys have the knowledge. Your viewers have the knowledge that this came from incredible foundation of parents supporting me. But one of the cool things I got to do in school was I was on a full ride scholarship for soccer. And pretty much everyone knows when you're on a full ride, coach has you by the cojones, and he do whatever he wants to you. So he forced me out of the major that I was in, which was philosophy, and all the philosophy majors said, "Hoorah!" No, I'm just kidding. So I was forced out of that major because it was too small. There was no flexibility in the schedule, and some of my classes were conflicting with practice time and game time, and he forced me out of that. So I had another passion, which was business, but all the emphases of the business degree were all just like. And no offense to anyone that did this. This just didn't excite me. This is a relative thing. So it was management. It was marketing. It was a hybrid of the two, marketing management. It just wasn't something that really whoa, that would be so cool to do.
And it's a total layup. I have a business degree. I hear you.
Yeah, totally. It was I just wouldn't have been living. I would have been checking boxes and I just would have been coasting through my degree, just trying to finish it, Yeah. But I got this rogue email from the dean of the business school at my school saying we're considering opening up an analytics program in the business school. And as soon as I heard that, all of the cells in my body were unified to one goal, which was let's make this degree happen. And I kind of I leaned on this professor and dean saying, hey, could we turn my degree partially into a business analytics degree, but in part, let me be the guinea pig and let me lay down the foundation to start a degree. And what we needed was some seed money. And so myself and a few other of my smartest friends got together and we landed a legit, it was a quasi client and relative and sort of like a donor. So it was a hybrid. and his name was Dean Vandekamp, and he's the owner of like 86 Jamba Juices on the West Coast, or should I say the left coast.
Right.
The parent company is Vitaligent, and he was willing to donate $10,000 so long as we did really good analytics work for him. And so we did all this work for him, and we figured out price point and what he should be pricing his coupons at. And one of the projects that I worked on, which I'm super proud of, was figuring out the relationship between temperature / precipitation and how much Jamba Juice people are purchasing. Because when it's hot, you gotta know that people are going to buy more Jamba Juice, and when it's cold, they're going to buy less of it.
Right.
And so we really figured out the relationship there. There's something called the R squared, which is a statistical term for how much of the variables that you're looking at, like weather, is what accounts for the change in X, and X would be how many orders or how many sales you'd get in any given day. And it turned out there's a really tight correlation between temperature and sales. And I knew that if I could take the forecasted temperature and forecast how many sales, then you can use what's called lambda to reverse engineer what's the arrival rate of your customers, which then tells you how many people to have on staff at any given time based on the temperature.
I hate that this is the case. I know that this is the case, and I hate that this is the case.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. If you're a retailer selling smoothies, you are, it's up to the weather whether you're going to have a good day of sales. So we gave this to him, and he didn't just donate $10,000. When he started implementing our changes, he donated $20,000, and that was just the seed money that we needed to be able to launch a business analytics degree at Biola University. And since then, they're turning it into a lab, and they've involved me a ton in the decision-making process. They got real seed money for the lab, which was like somewhere in the zone of $150K. But anyways, to answer your question, you kind of uprooted something there. I got my degree in business analytics, which I started at Biola University. Well,
I would think that business analytics, because it sounds to me a lot like just, you're run of the mill. Not that anything about stats is run of the mill, but it sounds to me a lot like your run of the mill stats class applied to business, right?
Oh yeah, totally. And
right.
Like these degrees, like my case for launching one at Biola was all of the universities on the cutting edge were all starting to open these up, popping like popcorn across the nation. And I was like, hey, Biola, like we gotta. I know we're like kind of pigeonholed in being the Christian university, but like we should be on the cutting edge too. We should be opening up a degree in this space. So let's do that.
Absolutely. That's That's fantastic. Although I hate statistic, and it kind of gives me, makes me want to stroke out. But other than
it's like men in your life. They just frustrate you, right?
It does. I tried to avoid, in the next program I'm in, I'd have to take 2 more stats classes. And I was like, talking to my academic advisor, and I was like, I've already had 4 stats classes. And he was like, well, these next 2 will be really easy then. And I was like, that was not the answer I was looking for. At all. I hate statistics, but they are really valuable, as you pointed out. And I'm sure in the business that you're in, what you said is SEO and internet marketing. That's what your business is. I'm sure that comes in handy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So anytime you're opening up a business, Melanie, and you know this, but you need to enter into a business with your USP, your unique selling proposition. And over here at Up Digital, myself at the helm, I really feel like my unique selling proposition is being able to take the data out of the super helpful tools like Google Analytics and whatnot, and being able to pull that into Excel or one of your data analysis tools and get deeper insights that you really just cannot get when you're constrained to the confines of the Google Analytics platform, let's say. But we're able to take this data online, or even if it's like a retailer with their point of sale systems, and our services go deeper because we can, we're not constrained to just working in the pre-made platforms. We can take that data and just deliver these insights that just blow people's minds. We've gotten so many testimonials of people like, well, my last SEO company didn't do that for me. And they're looking at these Tableau dashboards like, wow, like I never knew I was leaking money here, or I never knew that I'm spending all this money here, and this is what's actually making me this money. No one told me that. And then they're able to make these decisions because of our analytic suggestions and just save or make a lot more money.
I would think so. I would absolutely, I would think so, for sure. And
so there's my case for statistics right there.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing when you say, it's so funny because one of the listeners in the chat said, I love stats and economics. And I said, economics, yes. Reading stats, also yes. Doing stats, no, not actually doing stats. That's why God made calculators. Am I right? And Microsoft Excel.
No, we are living in an age, Melanie, where we are standing on the shoulders of giants because some of the tools, I mean, there's this one Excel plugin that I use. You can literally put in like thousands of constraints and like hundreds of variables and like click a button and have it optimized for a given equation. And I feel like Superman because I'm like, I have a jetpack to my brain and skill set that was never available to any of the people that lived before me. You know what I mean? I
agree with you completely. In fact, that's I think I mentioned I was an adjunct professor. That's what I teach. I teach a class called Computing Environments, and what it is Microsoft Office on steroids. And I teach the whole suite in a semester. But I stay on Excel for a long time, and I tell people all the time it is absolutely the most underrated. The most underrated component of Microsoft because of that suite. It does way more than anyone could possibly imagine. I know we're both nerding out for a second, but it is absolutely true.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. It is insane. Like, I just want to meet one of the brains that worked on that.
Oh my gosh, me too. Every time every semester I teach it, I absolutely learn something new and ridiculously cool.
And this like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know what it does. You're just like, what? Like, they have what? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Imagine being a professor and teaching it and you learn something new. And I also I do corporate training, and a lot of times they bring me in to teach something advanced in Excel, and I'll be like, oh, it does that? Well, let me learn how to do that, and then I'll come back and teach it. A lot of times I had no idea that you could even do whatever it was. And
it's deep enough to start teaching your students any macros?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, baby. Yeah, so for the viewers that don't know, Excel literally has a tool where you can do something and then it codes it for you.
Yeah.
And then you can hit the play button and it will do that like combination of moves that you just did. And it literally programs coding language with like a point and click, hey, just do this and do that. It's insane. It's amazing.
It's ridiculous. And I want to meet like the programmer dude that's like sitting behind because and when you, and I've also taught programming, and when you've taught like when you're into computers like that, you're going, I want to meet the guy who thought that it would be a good idea for Excel to know how to do this and like wrote that code. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So we're up against the break. I'm sorry that me and True kind of nerded out on Excel. I apologize. But it's really, if you're not using Microsoft Office and you're not using Excel, I don't care if you're just adding and subtracting. Microsoft Excel does more than add and subtract. I swear it could like go in the kitchen and cook meals. I'd like to think it's amazing.
I'll just give your viewers one recommendation. So I think you can get a free trial on lynda.com. If not, here's a little hack. I think you can go down and take like a class at your junior college or even the library. Your library might even give you a free pass to lynda.com. Lynda.com has so many good trainings. It's brought to you by lynda.com. I'm just kidding. No, but truly, they have some amazing trainings, particularly on Excel, but on literally anything. I just got brought up to speed on the crypto space because they have tons of trainings on that now too. I'm learning how to speed read. I'm learning all these things on Lynda. It's just like really high caliber training sessions, and their courses, they have I think beginner, medium, and advanced are phenomenal. So if you want to get brought up to speed and you want to do it for free, go to your library, get a lynda.com pass. It's only like $35 a month, so weigh the cost there of what your time is worth. But get a lynda.com pass and do the trainings in Excel. It'll blow your mind.
Absolutely. We're up against the break. We're going to take a break for 3 minutes. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is True Tamplin, right?
Tamplin,
Okay, True Tamplin. We're talking today about Raising an Executive, Igniting Your Son's Inner Executive to Outperform His Peers and Continue Your Legacy. True is 22 years old, folks, and is a super CEO executive coach. And we've been talking to him today. He's also a best-selling author. So we will be back in a couple of moments.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's no surrender ever, because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights. Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same Sack time, same Sack channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. And my guest today is Tamplin. I'm going to get this right by the end of the show, I promise. He has a best-selling book called Raising an Executive, Igniting Your Son's Inner Executive to Outperform His Peers and Continue Your Legacy. If you did not hear the backstory behind the title, go back and listen to the beginning of the show. It is a very interesting story, and he is but a mere baby. I hope you're not offended by that. But I'm almost 50, so you're less than half my age. I have to say that. But he's 22 and a very successful CEO, best-selling author. And I have to mention that a couple of my fellow network hosts are in the chat, and one of my bosses is in the chat, Dan Butcher, and give a shout out to him. And BZ is in the chat, and Facey, have to mention him, give him a shout out. And a couple of really faithful listeners are in the chat as well. And everybody's behaving themselves in the Facebook chat, so BZ doesn't have to act as my bouncer today, which is very nice. Sometimes people don't behave, and BZ has to tell them to remove themselves, and he's not kind about it. BZ is a retired cop. He's also a fantastic radio host in his own right. So the bloviating Zeppelin is what BZ stands for. But he's in the house. And Dan Butcher of High Plains Pundit Talk Radio, in which Money Talk with Melanie is syndicated, just posted a link to your Facebook page in the Facey chat, just so you know. Anywho, back to the conversation. So tell us about your book. You told us about the first chapter, which was about what your dad did, the sacrifice your dad made for you, and he apparently has this really amazing voice, and really how you were blessed. Oh, good. Actually, I have a question in the Facey chat. Tom Rotundi, who's actually another really good friend of mine, who has a beautiful son and now a daughter, asked a question in the Facey chat. How do you overcome your age? How do you do that? Do people take you seriously?
Okay, what I'm about to share is so good, and I hope all your viewers take note, because it is, man, I really discovered something really, really cool. You ready?
Yes.
So I went into trying to find success, and again, I haven't been hitting the pavement for that long, but I started trying to be the analytics guru and expert, and like people your age, like these 50-year-old men were looking at me like, we got 30 years on you in this industry, man. You're not an expert. Like, you're smart, but you're not an expert. And it started out actually a very big hindrance. And I think we all have that chink in the armor, that weakness, that thing that we're trying to cover up. Because I was trying to come off like I was in my 30s. I would suit up, grow out facial hair, do what I got to do to make myself look older. And then it dawned on me, why am I trying to cover up my weakness when I can flip it on its head and make it my strength? And that's exactly what I did. And let me before I crack my own nut, and to tell you like my breakthrough, let me give you just one parallel example. So my wife's dad, his name's Mark, super great guy, very sweet, but he grew up in a family in a Christian home that almost promoted such an utter and total humility to the point of almost being timid. And so he's got this interesting kind of humility complex where he's not willing to endorse himself. He's not willing to get out there and claim expertise, or, and I think it's hindered him to an extent. He's actually a great sales guy. He's really relatable. But I think that there's a quality that my mother-in-law, his wife, has labeled that's hurting him in business. And I was like, we had like our own little coaching session, because I'm a coach for executives, and I'm going to go into more of that in a second. But I worked with him. I was like, man, what if you took that thing that like practically all of America can relate to and make that your unique selling proposition? Like, what if like you were Mark, the humble guy, the guy that continues to struggle with like not wanting to like tout his own, like grandiose accomplishments? What if you got on the stage and you were that? Everyone and their grandma would relate with you. Everyone can like, what if you were the public speaker that instead of looking like they had it all going on and they made it in this life, like, what if you were like still presently struggling with this thing, but the act of getting on stage was the thing that like made your declaration of like, I'm taking a stand against this, you know what I mean? So, and I just use the word against, so there's a fine line there. But what if you took the thing that you're struggling with and made it the thing that made you so unique and relatable? And so that's what I did with my age, was I started out trying to conceal it. And I was like, wait a second, what if I made it my strength? And so now what I've done is I'm positioning myself to where I'm still legitimately able to call myself an executive coach. But like, I got this cool thing where I can relate with guys going throughout college and high school even. And I was involved in a ministry, Young Life, for many years. I love Young Life. And so I'm still totally in, I got, the dab. I got all of my, dance moves down and all the stuff on them. I still got it going on. But so I got this like total assimilation still with the younger, guy who's still in school. And I also have a smart enough brain and well-spoken enough mouth where I can relate with the executives. And I'm bridging the gap between dads and their sons, because one of the chapters of my book is the Charlie Brown effect. And if you know the Charlie Brown effect, it's the teacher.
Yes, as a teacher, I'm very familiar with that. Yeah.
100%. I sympathize with you right now. I'm sorry. Yeah. So the Charlie Brown effect is these executives, when you're successful, you think you're smart and you have a lot to offer, and over time, like, your son just gets over it. Like, sorry, Dad, I'm not going to hear from you. And this is true of me too. Like, my dad loved to have these long-winded sessions, like, oh, like, we're going to do this right now. Okay, like, here we go. So I know that dads are frustrated because their sons have tuned them out. And then what happened in my life and in every other guy's life that's grown up is you hear the same thing that your dad always told you, from another man or a guy who you think is cool, I think that's, like, if I had to boil down the thing that makes the youth listen to someone, it's if they're cool. And dads, frankly, are not cool in their own son's eyes. Oftentimes, at least. I actually think my dad's really cool. I still didn't listen to him, though, because I couldn't come from him. It needed to come from somebody else. And I would tell my dad, over Skype, because he was living in Hawaii, my breakthroughs, and he'd be like, "What?
I told you that.
I told you that like 1,000 times." I'm sure you can relate as a mom, as like everything. And so I don't know why, but that just had to come from someone else. And so I am that guy for executives, where I can understand the executives, I can speak into their lives, but I'm also cool enough for the sons to where I can have a way with them, where I can look them in the eye, and we can talk about porn, we can talk about like this TV that they're watching on Netflix, and oh my god, you see Kimmy K and what she tweeted, like whatever's happening, like I'm in it, and it's hilarious, like literally hilarious to me when like. So all of a sudden, I'm 22. When an 18-year-old like tries to come off like I don't get it, and he's like telling me a story of like him looking up at the brim of his hat where he had his notes for the exam, and I'm like, dude, you didn't write them on the inside of your water bottle? Like, what's wrong with you, man? And like it's at that moment you realize like I'm more him than he is him. Like I hope I'm joking when I say that, but there are these moments where like I even get the axe of like not being relatable, and then I quickly show them like, dude, don't even try to start with me. I am like just leagues beyond you, but I'm still your age, like So anyways, to answer your question about the whole age thing, was I approached it as a weakness, as something that I needed to conceal, and it wasn't until I turned that on its head and said, you know what, this is the thing that actually makes me unique and cool and valuable. I'm going to use that as my strength. I'm going to lead with this as the young guy. And it still lets me legitimately claim being an executive coach. It still lets me claim all of the things that I want. But like Stephen Covey says, you begin with the end in mind. So the end that I had in mind was, let's say it's executive coach. You work back from there. And like we think that like when we're going to the supermarket and our car doesn't start, we think that the solution is getting the dang car to start. It's not. The goal is to get to the supermarket. The goal is not to get your car to start. And so if it means going another way, doing something else to get to the supermarket, then put your thinking cap on and get to the supermarket without necessarily starting your car, because we get pigeonholed and think, oh, we got to start our car. Oh, I tried this, I jumped started. It's not working, and we get stuck. But if we can begin with the end in mind, like Stephen Covey says, and come at it from maybe a unique angle, something that is non-traditional or the way that we thought would be the most obvious and immediate way, come at it from a unique angle. That's where I found personally that I hit pay dirt.
That's excellent. That's really excellent. Okay, I only have like a couple minutes left. And
sorry, that was a long-winded, but that was good.
No. But no, you were fine. You were really perfect. But there were a couple of comments in the Facey chat, so I'm going to give you your choice of which one you want to address. Somebody in the Facey chat said, "Is it true that you're married to some really hot, brilliant supermodel?" Someone else commented, "Is it also true that you are a really awesome soccer player?" Somebody mentioned that. And then, and this is just really a comment on my part. Somebody else mentioned in the Facey chat that that the last time I had a millennial on, it was the super liberal, which I typically don't have on, but it was a stitch. It was actually very fun. It was some like generation reconciliation coach, which was hilarious.
Yeah, well, if you'd like to speak to that one, you're free to. I can quickly answer. I was pretty good at soccer. Definitely wasn't the best. It paid for school, which was amazing, and I suffered from injuries all throughout college, so I really didn't have my senior year was supposed to be my big year. It was really only my first year that I really got to really play. I scored the second most goals that year, and it was my sophomore year that I started playing because I had an injury my freshman year. My sophomore year was a good year, which was technically my freshman year for soccer, but just sophomore year for all intents and purposes. Junior year, I was injured the whole year. Senior year, I came out with a bang. I was team captain. I was ready to go, and I got injured in game 4 of preseason. So I didn't even. It was super like anticlimactic little career there. So But my supermodel wife, I would love to talk about. She is amazing. Her book is it's called Model Housewife, pun intended.
Nice.
And she is just that. She is a model. She's an actress. She actually got me recently on one of her TV shows, movie series, or web series called Cyborgs. And yeah, her book, Model Housewife, she is writing, Melanie. This is true of both the Christians and people not of the faith. Is there is everyone is being influenced by the feminist movement.
Oh yeah.
And she firmly believes that the feminist movement has actually gone too far. It started out true and beautiful and necessary. I think we all, 100% of us, would have called ourselves very strong feminists when it began. And what I'm about to say is a little bit controversial. I understand that. But she truly believes, and I got to agree with her, that a lot of women are being forced into a career and putting on the corporate pants that don't belong there. And God's calling for many women is to be that supportive role, or dare I say, every woman ought to be that's married, that supportive role. And so many women, I don't know if you've seen this or heard about it, or if you haven't experienced this, but almost 60-70% of women that are our age, young, beautiful, vibrant, young, awesome, flourishing, or should be flourishing women, have so many chronic diseases like CFS and just everything. It's
yeah, they're stressed out trying to get their careers done before they, try to become housewives and make babies and all that. Everything's backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many women in our lives that are mentoring my wife, that are 30 years her senior, a lot of them have said the same thing. So her aunt was super high up at Boeing, super smart, super corporate, super killer at it. This poor woman has cancer now.
Oh,
and and I'm not saying yes, we got to look at the stats. There goes statistics again. I don't want to make a claim, but just hold the women in our lives. Let me give you another one. It's this the McCarthys.
We're up against the heartbreak. I hate to.
Sorry about that. Okay, just a lot of women are hurting for certain.
There you go. There, that and capitalize it. Where can we get your book, real fast?
On Amazon, Raising an Executive. You can also check out my site, truetamplin.com.
Yep, somebody just posted it in Facey. Thank you so much for being on the show. You completely and totally rock. Thank you so much for being here. You guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. You guys on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. If you downloaded this as a podcast on iTunes or any of the other platforms, I appreciate you. Great comments in the chat. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember, all of this is very important because after all, it's your money. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Melanie.
Thanks.